अच्युतं केशवं रामनारायणं कृष्णदामोदरं वासुदेवं भजे.
So Jai Gurudev, fellow bhaktis and devotees of Guruji, and welcome to another 5 minutes with me, Swami Vishwadhaanamjayananda. And I'll enlighten you on a few. This week will be different to how I shall speak with you from something Guruji has asked me to do. But before we do that, just to get us in the mood of where we're going with this week, I'll read a beautiful verse from the Gita, which says, "Whichever manifestation of the divine any devotee desires to worship with faith, that faith I shall make unshakable and firm." So as I said to you this week, the format will be different in nature, and this is due to a conversation I had with Guruji as I was walking with him around Springen today. And we've been walking for quite a while, but towards the end of the walk, Guruji began to talk about service, and how important service is for us on our spiritual path. And do we fully understand how important the service is for us on our spiritual path? And we can look at it and say whether it's service to God, whether it's the service to the Guru, whether it's the service to the deities, or whether it's the service to various saints, or whether it's the service to humanity in general. And in my previous talks over the last couple of weeks, we've been mainly focusing on service to the Guru, Guru Seva, and the effects that has on us, and the beauty it brings into our lives, the being able to serve the Guru. So this week, he asked me to talk for much longer this time, and he asked me to help you to understand just how beautiful service is. But it must also be understood that we can talk for 20 minutes, for 30 minutes, for 40 minutes, but until you, as the devotees of Guruji, until you as the spiritual seekers looking to go back to God, until you begin to actually practice even simple things and take action with the activities, take action in the things that you are doing, nothing can manifest inside of you. And this is one of the beauties of service. Service is action. Yeah? And as we move through life, every single day, every single hour of every single minute, we are performing service. And our consciousness determines what we serve. We can be devoted and serve the 5 senses and let Maya entangle us in her web, which is very easy as we go through life. It's very easy, and people often say, how can they focus on God more? How can they give themselves over to the divine more? And this is one of the beauties of Seva and the service, is through the action of focusing on serving God through the various forms that I outlined earlier, we can focus our heart and our soul and our consciousness on God, on divinity. This allows us to actually free ourselves of Maya, and this allows us to build a relationship with God. Guruji has said many times, and I spoke about it in one of my previous videos, that the easiest way to attain God is to build a relationship to Him, to just enjoy His company. And for us, one of the easiest ways to do that is through service to Him, through service to Guru, through service to the deities, and through service to other mankind. Because when we are serving, we are humble. We can only truly serve and do our dharma when we are humble, because then the light of God shines through us. And we as humans can only change and let our divinity shine through us once action is taken by us, as I said earlier. And action governs our growth. Action shows God and Guru that we are ready to serve. We are ready to accept more from him. And he is able to give us more. Guruji has said to us many times that if you can't accept the service and the dharma that God has given you down here, and we always run away from it, when he wants to give you greater things upstairs, do you think that he will be able to, or he will? No, he'll send us back down here so that we can learn the lesson in the next life to accept the service and the dharma that we have to do for him. And until we get it right, the cycle of birth and death continues. So we often hear people saying to us, but how can you devote your life to God? How can you devote your life to serving God like this? We've all had it. Family, friends. People always think it's strange. They often sometimes say that we belong to a strange cult or something. But what people fail to realize in the world is that, as I said earlier, they are devoted, they are serving every single day. They are serving their 5 senses. And we can consciously choose to be devoted and serve the divine, serve God. Maya has made it very easy to serve her, which is why choosing to serve God in his various aspects has to be a conscious decision, minute after minute, hour after hour, day after day. And this is the beauty of the relationship with God, because when we have that relationship, the service to him also becomes easier and easier, because he is everything for you. He is the most important thing in your life. And we need to realize this and become conscious of this. And I said last week that the Guru Seva, or even the service, if even that's too much for us to sit down and really do, we can sit down and focus and just remember God, remember Guruji for 5 minutes. And at the end of the day, build up a reservoir inside of you where you can look back and say, okay, today, I really thought about God, I really thought about Guruji for at least 2 hours today, and I really spent time building this relationship inside of me up. And during the walk, Guruji was speaking to me, and we'll touch on this a bit later. He was talking about the beauty of being able to do various prayers, the beauty of being able to do various pujas and rituals, as people call them, and how this has an effect on us. But there's a beautiful verse from the Bible in Galatians 5 verse 13, where it said, "For you were called to freedom, brothers. Only do not use your freedom as an opportunity for the flesh, but through love serve one another." And here they've spoken about in Galatians what I've just said. God is in all of us. God is everywhere. But it's how we choose to serve God, it's how we choose to serve one another that defines our consciousness. It defines whether the light of God starts to shine within us and shine around, so that we become, as Guruji said over Mahavata Babaji's Appearance Day, we become the beacons of light for him and Mahavata Babaji, shining out the love that they are giving us to around the world. And I think this is important to realize, because this is why we do everything. We don't do everything for our own sake. We do everything so that we can be vessels for Guruji, for Mahavata Babaji, because they are shining their love. And as we do our sadhana, the sadhana is also a form of service. Because as we do our sadhana, the love that they are giving us within that, the love that we start to become, we are then able to become clean vessels to transport this love out to the world. We become clean vessels through our service to be able to shine this light. And it's said that even in the darkest room, if one candle is burning, light shall be present. And that is who we are. In the world out there, in the world of darkness, we are the candle for them that allows the love to shine. It allows the love to to become present in somebody else. And I know of the Guru Purnima, the Swamis have often asked Guruji, are we allowed to come to Guru Purnima? It's so beautiful to see. And he said, no, this is the time where the love I have given you, you have to take out there and give to everybody else. And through our service and through all the things that Guruji has given us, we are able to do that to him. Guruji has said many times that God is within us and is within everyone. And we can look at Guruji for ourselves as the experience, the experience of action, of how love changes everything and allows us to be our true divinity. I know for myself and for many people, Guruji is action. He is that experience of how love changes everything. And it's this ability that he gives us to experience through the action how love changes everything that allows us to be our true divinity. And he is a perfect example of service in action, and how that service has the ability to change ourselves and everyone around us. I remember when I first met Guruji, we always think that we're very spiritual. We always think that we are divinity and everything. And with him giving me the ability to serve him closely, or at first he put me in charge of South Africa, to be the head of South Africa. And it was at that point that I realized just how important service is for us. It showed me that God is within everybody. It gave me the experience of being the action of how love changes everything on his behalf. He allowed me to be the candle, and over time, the more experiences he's allowed me to have to be able to serve him directly or serve the people around him directly and indirectly, has purified me, has made me cleaner inside. And each time he allows that experience for us, he allows us to wash away one more layer of dirt inside of us. And he often refers to it like peeling back the layers of an onion. And in a satsang, once he was asked the question, how does he see God? Because how he sees God is very important, because this is how we should see everything around us. And so he was asked the question, how do you see God? He smiled, he laughed a bit, and then he replied as he looked around that he sees God as bored. Then he sees God as being happy. Then he sees God as being worried. And everybody was looking a bit puzzled because, he was thinking, okay, wow, this is... And then he explained himself and he says, he does not see God, but he sees God in each one of us looking back at him. He sees God sitting in front of him. And in the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 3, verse 15, Lord Krishna says that from food arise all beings. From rain, food is produced. From sacrifice comes rain. And sacrifice is achieved through activity. Know that activity springs from Brahman, and Brahman arises from the imperishable self. Therefore, the all-pervading Brahman is ever established in self. And Guruji gives a beautiful explanation about this further down in his text, and he says, from rain food is produced. And he said there are different kinds of food also. And also here he said, from sacrifice comes rain, and sacrifice is achieved through activity. Know that activity springs from Brahman, and Brahman arises the imperishable self. Therefore, the all-pervading Brahman is ever established in sacrifice. And Guruji beautifully explains that here Bhagavan Krishna is saying that one who is aware of the self knows that in whatever one does, it is the soul, it is the Atma, it is Brahman himself, it is Narayan Krishna himself who is doing these activities. And here Guruji is enlightening us to one of his core foundations, that he's been asking us to understand this from the beginning, because if we can truly understand this, everything else that we do actually falls away. we become the flute for Krishna. We become a simple vessel for God to sit inside of our heart and drive. He's asked us to realize that it's Narayan Krishna himself in all of our actions, in all of the activities, who is performing the actions. It is God himself that is performing the service. And why is this key to understand such a deep philosophy? I mean, we can speak about it, and we often get recited that, yes, it's not me, it's Guruji or it's God doing the activity. But as much as we speak about it, do we even truly come close to understanding what Guruji is saying here? And he often tweets about it, and I actually tweeted about it the other day when I said, if we lose sight of the fact that every success and every action is for the Master, for God, and everything is by God himself and by the Master himself, we lose everything. Because the key to understand here is when we believe that it's us doing the service, it is I, the ego has taken over. And when the ego takes over, we lose humility. And when we lose humility, we lose the ability to act with love. Act with love towards ourselves, act with love towards others, and we lose this relationship of love with God that we, day by day, minute by minute, second by second, we should be striving to create and to sustain with our service. We lose the ability to grow in love that the service manifests inside of us. However, when we consciously understand that all of our actions and services are with the knowledge that it's God himself doing it, then immediately our consciousness begins to change, and the service begins to allow us to be our true divine nature. In chapter 3, verse 9 of the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna tells Arjuna how to achieve the state of doing service, doing our dharma. And he says, therefore, without attachment, perform ever the work that is to be done. For by doing work, doing our service without attachment, man will attain the highest. And Guruji gives a beautiful explanation of this, and he says, this doesn't mean that God-realized souls don't act in the world. They do, they act. But they are not bound by their actions. They help to maintain the balance in the world, but they have no attachment to what they do or to what they don't do. They go with intuition. It's not them, they are guided. Everything happens, everything is taken care of automatically. Such a state, this is the highest good for humanity, not only for them, but also for the people around. They are centered in the Supreme. To truly do service selflessly, you can't have any attachment to the outcome. And I remember having this discussion with Guruji once. It was late at night, it was about 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning, and we had just finished watching, I think, Saint Martin de Porres. And Saint Martin de Porres, he was cleaning out the barn, and nobody understood what he was doing, but he was doing the best that he could to look after. There was new baby lambs, but the people didn't understand because for them, he wasn't doing a phenomenal job. And eventually a bishop came who understood Saint Martin de Porres, and he said to him, he told everybody to leave him alone. And I looked at Guruji and I said to him, Guruji, so should we strive for 100% to do our service with 100%? Because basically this is what is being said here, that if we strive to do the service with 100%, we actually have attachment. And Guruji said, you can never reach 100% in your service, because if you're striving for that, you're striving for the ego. You should strive to serve God with your heart and soul, because then the service is pure. And if we look at Guruji, our Sadguru, as an example of action and service without attachment, and action and service with love with love for the pure upliftment of ourselves, we can even look at the saints, both Christian and Hindu, and there's many stories of Christian and Hindu saints where the service that they gave to humanity, the service that they gave was completely selfless, without attachment, and it purified those around them. Their life is and always has been service, and they show us the selflessness of serving on all levels. Even in the Bible, in Mark 10, verse 45, he says about Jesus that, "For even the Son of Man came not to be served, but to serve, and to give his life as a ransom for many." And that to me is a beautiful example of God showing us the path, God showing us the way, that service is crucial for us as a society, for us as individuals who are aspects of the divine themselves, and for humanity as a whole. That when we begin to serve each other selflessly, when we begin to put each other first, the consciousness of mankind raises. So one of the main questions, and this is also what Guruji touched on, was performing various rituals to a deity, performing various prayers to the deity, because a lot of people see us doing this, even various devotees and stuff. They just see it as a statue. They're unable to see the divinity inside of that. And it was in London where Guruji was asked a question by somebody in the audience, and their question was basically that there are so many rituals that are performed in Hinduism. What do they mean? Are they just symbolic, or do they actually do something energetically? And majority of the time, this question is very beautiful, because majority of the time, the people who ask these questions, and even ourselves, we forget that, and Guruji has said this many times, we forget that everything is controlled by the Satguru. And everything is controlled by the Satguru so that we can grow energetically, we can grow spiritually, we can become cleaner, more beautiful devotees. And Guruji's answer in this satsang basically says all of this. And he said, it's not only Hinduism that has rituals, Christianity has rituals too, Judaism has rituals too. But of course, in the Hindu tradition, it's very elaborated and it's very grand in the way we do the celebrations. But we must realize that they are not just rituals, or they're not just symbolic, because behind each symbol, behind each gesture, behind everything that we do in the prayer, there is a deep meaning behind it. And when we do the certain gestures, we do the certain movements, when we do the various symbolic things, we're generating a certain kind of energy that is around us, and a certain kind of energy that is inside of us. And he went on to answer that, for example, in the ceremony, the Abhishekam, where we bathe the deity, and I know from personal experience, when people who are not devotees, who don't do this, and they see us pouring the various elements over the deities, it's very confusing for them. For them, it's very strange that we would worship a piece of stone. And Guruji went on to explain in his answer that the people who do service to the Lord every day, they're the people who bar the deity. Yes, from a Western point of view, a Western mind, of course, they would look at it and say, oh my goodness, these people are crazy. What are they doing? Pouring milk over the deity. Why are they putting yogurt on it? Why are they putting honey on it? Why are they wiping ghee on the deity? And I know my own mother, bless her soul, when she used to see me doing this when I was living in South Africa, for her, she couldn't understand it. She didn't criticize it, she just couldn't understand it. And it was funny on the outside. It's funny on the outside for them to see. But inside, energetically, the big question is, what is this doing? Because the answer to this question goes to the whole point of Seva, whether it's Guru service, service to God, service to a deity, service to humanity. The answer that Guruji gave to this question is so beautiful. And he said, inside, energetically, it's purifying the person. It's a purification, and that is what it's doing. Because the deity doesn't need purification when we're serving the deity. Guruji most definitely doesn't need purification because he is divinity himself. So then the big question is, what are we purifying when we're doing the Abhishekam, when we're serving the Lord? And he said simply, you are purifying yourself actually. You are expressing the love, what you have inside of you towards the deity, and it's the deity's love towards you. It's both ways. It's a relationship between the divine and you. And here we've come back to this point of the relationship. So we're purifying ourselves with the Abhishekam, but we're also creating that relationship with God that is so important, because without the relationship, we can't attain the divinity. We can't attain God. Whether you attain God in your heart or whether you attain Him in Vaikuntha, you have to have this relationship with Him. So while we're doing this ritual, there's a lot happening. Lots and lots of purification is happening, because you don't just purify the mind. He said you're purifying the body, the mind, and the intellect. And when we're doing the rituals, when we're doing the various prayers, all three of these are getting purified inside of us. And at the end, when we have the camphor, the arti in front of the deity, which he beautifully says, Lord, there is no me that exists. It is only you. You are the only reality. It is only you, the supreme, that acts and does everything in this world. So each of these rituals has a very, very deep meaning. And it also has a big vibration emanating from it, not only for us, yes, the purification is for us, but also for the environment around ourselves. So if we can truly understand that, one, the message that Guruji has given us from the beginning, that we are divine ourselves, and that every action and every piece of service that we do is not actually us. It's the Guru, it's the divine himself, it's Guruji himself doing this. And then we can realize that when we do the service, whether it's service to God, whether it's service to Guru, service to the deities, service to saints, service to humanity, there's a purification inside of us that is happening. It's a connection with God. We're not connecting, if we do service for humanity, we're not connecting with ourselves to another human being. We're connecting to the divinity inside of that person. We're connecting to the soul that is part of God and part of us at the same time. And as I said earlier in a previous talk, because Guruji spoke about how beautiful this creates the relationship with God, serving the deity. In the previous talk, I spoke about simply enjoying God's company. And I know when we do temple prayers, it's such an honor to be able to either do the Guru Puja, to Guruji's Padakas, or to be able to do the Abhishekam on Krishna himself in the morning. It's a relationship that when you're pouring the Panchamrit over Krishna, you can feel him smiling, you can feel that he's happy, that you are happy to be there with him, serving him. And by doing this service, performing this service, is God. And God is not showing his love for us through the various rituals as we see them, but the fact that we are forming the relationship with him to purify ourselves, to become one with him, the fact that we're saying, God, this service of mine, I'm showing you that you are the most important thing in my life. And to be able to do this service with you and for you, it makes our hearts shine. In another satsang, Guruji was asked a question, but he goes on to say here, and it was very beautiful, imagine the Murti starts talking to you. What would you do? You would get shocked, right? because in your mind it's just the Murti outside. You don't perceive that it is Bhagavan himself. And people often ask me, he says, why do you worship a Murti? And here people which are seated here itself say, I don't need to worship a Murti, because this is just ritual outside. Many of you have thought about that. In your eyes, it's just a Murtis. However, he says, in my eyes, it's Krishna himself. When he talks, I listen to him. And when I talk, he listens to me. That's our relationship. That's why I love him like that. That's why I serve him like that. I don't need to serve him like that if I don't want to. It's not that he will not love me. Then he would simply take another form. But the important is to know that he is not just what you see on the outside. He is fully alive. It is Bhagavan himself. That's the Swarupa he has taken on the outside so that you can express your bhav, you can express your devotion to him, you can form this relationship through him, through your service. And in chapter 6, verse 35, Guruji says, in this way, by constant practice, one will automatically develop dispassion. And when there is dispassion, the mind will be completely under control. There will also be patience and humility. Automatically, there is a flow of energy between you and God. When you are doing your service, when you are doing your seva, there will be an automatic flow of positive energy flowing through you, and you will perceive the Lord in everything. Is that what not Bhakta Prahlad did? When Hiranyakashipu said, where is your God? Where is this Narayan? And Hiranyakashipu said, is he in this pillar? And Bhakta Prahlad said, yes, he is in this pillar. To which Hiranyakashipu then said, I am going to break this pillar in half, and if your God does not manifest out of it, I shall kill you. And Hiranyakashipu broke the pillar in half, and out of the pillar came Lord Nrsimhadev in all his glory. Because Bhakta Prahlad could perceive God in everything. And in chapter 8, verse 14 of the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, he who continually remembers me, thinking of none else, the yogi or partha, who is constant in union with me, finds me easy to attain. And Guruji, all of his explanations, he simply says, he who continually remembers me, thinking of none else. When one has this deep longing for the Lord, when one feels the separation, one can't bear even one moment without him. Because of the depth of longing that one has for the Lord starts to reciprocate that same longing. The Lord, the Supreme One who is seated in the Absolute, also starts to have the same longing for his devotee. He also finds the separation unbearable, and he runs to the devotee. He runs to the devotee. The more we form this relationship with God, the more he runs towards us. And it's through this service that we are purified. And on the walk today, Guruji reminded me of a story he told at the Bhagavatam when he was giving the Bhagavatam discourse in earlier this year in 2015, about a guru who had a disciple come to him. And the disciple had lots of questions, but the guru simply asked the disciple, he said to him, please read the Bhagavatam, and once you have read it, I would like you to come and let me know what you've understood from reading the Bhagavatam. And this story relates to so many of us, because the disciple came back once and he said to his guru, I've read the Bhagavatam, dearest Guru Maharaj, but I have not understood it. I cannot understand it. So the guru sent the disciple again to read the Bhagavatam. And the disciple went off and began to read the Bhagavatam again. But still he did not understand. So he came back and he told the Guru that he did not understand what he had read. And a third time the Guru sent the disciple off to read the Bhagavatam, but he had the same result. And it's at this point that, like I said earlier, this is exactly how Guruji works with us. He is the experience of how love changes everything. Because he has so much patience with us. He gives us the opportunity continuously to do service, whether it's deity service, service to him, service to others through serving Bhakti Marga as a country coordinator or as an Atma Kriya teacher. He gives us the opportunity continuously to keep serving. And after the third time the disciple came back to him, the Guru simply gave the disciple a bucket that was dirty, and he said to the disciple, "Go to the river and fetch me water, please." So the disciple went as the Guru asked, and he said, okay. He filled the bucket with water, but when he was walking back, he noticed that the bucket had holes in it. And when he got to the Guru, the bucket was almost empty. And the Guru looked at him and said, "Go back and fill it again." Over a couple of times, he went back and forth, and each time that he got back to the Guru, the bucket was almost empty of water. And after about the fourth or fifth time, he said to his Guru Maharaj, "Please, Guru Maharaj, you have to help me here because none of this is making sense." And we do the same with Guruji the whole time. It might not make sense to us, but Guruji himself knows exactly what he is doing for us. And the Guruji enlightened his disciple, and he said to him, just as with your soul, when you were reading the Bhagavatam, when you first took the bucket to the water, the bucket was dirty. But each time you brought the bucket back to me with the water that was running out, the bucket became cleaner. The water inside became cleaner. And this, he said, each time you read the Bhagavatam, each time you perform service with the understanding that it's the divinity inside of you, it's God inside of you doing the service, or you do service to worshipping the deity, so we are getting purified, just as when the disciple kept bringing fresher and fresher water, so the water inside of the bucket became very pure and became very clean. And this is one of the beauties of the Seva, and this is what Guruji was alluding to this afternoon when I was walking with him, was that he wishes that the devotees could truly understand the beauty of that, how much the Seva purifies us. And we should do the Seva free of the ego, free of the mind, simply remembering God, simply remembering Him when we do the Seva, forgetting about ourselves, forgetting about having attachment to anything, just doing the Seva and being in love with Him. And when I finish off now, there's a beautiful story of a devotee who used to clean a temple floor every single day. And the temple floor was quite massive, but she used to clean the temple floor. She would not get any praise or anything from it. But however, one day the Guru was visiting the temple, and he saw her on her hands and knees, and she was polishing the floor, but she didn't know that the Guru was watching her, and she was polishing the floor and shining the floor. And he asked one of his disciples, and he said, "Does she do this every single day?" And he said, yes, she does this every single day, and she makes sure the temple floor is beautifully clean. And then he simply leant over to the disciple that he was talking to and said, "She's cleaning the window of my heart. She's cleaning my soul by doing this service so beautifully." So I truly pray to you, and I truly ask you that as we do our seva, as we do the action of purifying ourselves, remember Guruji in everything that you're doing. Remember that He is the doer, and He is the creator of the service. And do it with humility inside of us, so that the love that we have begins to manifest outside of us for everybody around us to also use and to also begin to change. As Gandhi said, be the change that you want to see in the world. And it's through doing the service, through creating this relationship with God, that we begin to be the change in the world, because we become the candles in the dark for Guruji and Mahavatar Babaji to be out there. So I wish you all a blessed time, and I'm sending you much love, and I hope you have a wonderful, beautiful Christmas. And Jai Gurudev.